What's going on in Ethereum right now will probably shock you, and something enormous is happening this week. So if you hold crypto, you can't afford to miss out on this episode. Before we look at some charts, let's jump across and look at this piece of news. Raoul Pal expects Ethereum to greatly outperform Bitcoin. Shock. Well, guys, obviously we know Ethereum has a smaller market cap. Ethereum's undergone tons of changes this recent year. We're starting to see Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin already. And he says it's one of the most interesting and exciting charts, the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, saying that it's the single most bullish asset price chart right now. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And this is that chart, guys. And yes, while the rest of the market has been dwindling towards the downside and showing signs of recovery, but potentially a crippling move down further still to come. Well, guys, this is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. And yes, it is a bit of a messy chart, but we do have a nice rising wedge towards the upside, typically showing that the buying prices are getting higher each time, indicating that we're probably going to see a squeeze towards higher levels. We have been faked out towards the downside. Ethereum looking like it's due to test this upside. In a bull market, Ethereum will always outperform Bitcoin because its market cap's smaller, so it doesn't take so much money to move the asset as it does with Bitcoin. But what we're starting to see is we're getting up into this area previously known as a resistance zone, which could indicate that we're due to move towards the downside. However, this is showing that right now is a very, very crucial time in crypto, because it's showing that this is an area at which a decision is going to be made. If crypto is pushed towards the downside, then this chart will fall very aggressively. However, if it's due towards the upside, then potentially we're going to see a break beyond like that. Yes, I know, could go both ways. Before we jump across and look at the charts, I also want to point out to you that this week on Wednesday, you have this piece of news: US dollar federal interest rate decision. If you've been wondering why crypto has been punished towards the downside, why the US dollar has been performing so strongly, well, kind of a little bit of both, guys. It's been performing very strongly because the interest rate is very high. Everyone's pushing money into the US dollar because it's getting them a good rate of return. It also means that people are not borrowing money in order to invest in stocks, crypto, and any other risky assets. Therefore, the stocks and the S&P 500 are starting to move towards the downside. Crypto also being pushed down towards the downside. And if we see a rate hike higher than expected, then we could continue to see further pain in crypto, S&P, etc. But potentially, if we see an interest rate hike that's lower than expected, then that could be huge. Could be the catalyst that gets crypto started on the bull run that we've all been waiting so long for. Now, first of all, I want to check out the DXY, or the US dollar index, because obviously I've mentioned that the US dollar is driving the whole of the crypto market. Oh, please talk about Ethereum. Look at Ethereum. You just need to wait a moment because I'm explaining what's going on, and this helps us make our decision and our choices about what's going on in crypto right now. Notice what happened on the DXY. Everyone said double top. Told you it wasn't going to double top, and it would probably bounce out of this key buy zone, this big green box here. Look at what happened. Very nice indeed. It did come down a little bit further than anticipated, but it has bounced hard towards the upside. I would anticipate that this is already going to push up towards these levels. And now pretty much what happens to the DXY all hangs in the balance with that interest rate news, guys. So we're kind of like hanging on for that, really. DXY, as I mentioned, it could see a bit of a further push towards the top, but I do think we're kind of approaching the upper levels of this now. It will be just a matter of time whether or not crypto pushes now, or whether it comes in a few weeks after a bit more of a cool off. Jumping into Bitcoin before we get to Ethereum, again, seeing some interesting stuff. We've broken to the upside of this falling wedge, which we've been stuck in since Friday the 5th of November last year, almost a year of descending into this wedge. And now what we're starting to see is some form of recovery. We've broken out the upper side of this wedge. However, we're not seeing the volume that one would expect with a particular breakout like this, showing me that probably because of that news that's coming around the corner, people are being a little bit cautious of what's going on in Bitcoin. Okay, guys, so jumping into Ethereum on the daily chart. I know you've been waiting all this time for this, right? Let's have a look at what we've got going on. We've seen this falling wedge. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot on this channel. We've broken beyond that. Now, every time we have a breakout, we expect to see a retrace, like a return back to retest this previous level and then see a bounce. Now we get lines of resistance and support that could be like this, it could be like this, and they form in lots of different places. And this is why we need to wait for breaks and retests, because we have push and then we likely will see a retest. However, we do sometimes see fake outs where we push out of a pattern and then back into a pattern, which is why we want to see a retest of a particular area before we consider going in. So if we jump into a 4-hour chart, we can see what these potential retest zones may look like. Okay, so we are looking for previous lines of resistance that then become support. So if I was to draw on a line of resistance here and zoom into a 15-minute, then I've got a bit of a clearer idea of where I might be having a bounce coming from. Previously, this was a line of resistance, right? You see, we found up, we got pushed back down, we came back up into it, we struggled to break through, eventually did break through, found support, now starting to find support on this area again. So what we're probably most likely to see is a push from the Ethereum price. But what I'm considering as being a potential option and worth paying attention to right now is if we are looking at this on the 15-minute chart, as I mentioned, then we are ultimately going to be pushing higher, but we'll probably return to a lower zone. Now, what we're looking at in terms of potential price targets for Ethereum in the shorter term, guys, I'm talking like the next few days. Obviously, the Fed meeting is going to play a big part. Well, we got this previous line of resistance sat here around $1,770 to around sort of $1,800, right? Would it be surprising to me if this scenario played out? Remember, we're looking for lines of confluence. We've got our bounce here. What we could potentially see happening here, guys, is something like this when we reach into this zone. Now, ultimately, if that is the case, this rising wedge is a bearish pattern, right? It tends to fall towards the downside. It wouldn't shock me that this on a 4-hour chart could cause something like this. We rise up into this area and then we take a bounce down. Now, that would be if it wasn't for having news and things playing out this week. Obviously, guys, who knows exactly what could happen in that space and time. What I'm anticipating happening right this second is a further push up towards sort of around the $1,700 level, which from current levels would be a push of something like 7%. It's been a bit of a quiet day in crypto so far, but remember, no one has really woken up across the world yet. The London market's open, but we haven't yet to open into a New York market. Things still looking exciting for crypto. There's definitely more hype in the space. There's more people arriving back into the space, which is obviously amazing. If you've been the one who's been burying your head in the sand for the last 6 months or a year, welcome back to crypto. I don't want to have any sob stories for myself, but throughout the whole crypto bear market, it's been pretty punishing for producing YouTube videos with not much in terms of any reward for producing that content. Still been bringing you value. If you also want to help out the channel, then also jump into the Telegram group. Absolutely free, guys. Hit that like button, it really helps me out. Hit that subscribe so you can keep up to date with all that's happening in Ethereum. We're also going to look at other ones like Gala Gaming, Solana, etc. We're starting to see lots of cryptos popping out right now. Bit of an altcoin market developing, things getting exciting. Let's get ready for a big end of the year for crypto 2022. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.